From LALATE News Headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big Friday morning on Early Mornings LALATE with incredible news about your fourth stimulus check of 2021. The fourth stimulus check is heading to the finish line as the president hatches a deal, but I'll explain the complicated deal, which now splinters legislation into two different paths. Your recon is still where your stimulus check is, and those monthly stimulus checks are still what those Democrats want you to have. We'll be going over the monthly stimulus checks, how much is at issue, and where you're going to get it. Then we turn to fifth stimulus, which heats up this fall with another stimulus check and the raising up of your benefits lifetime. Incredible news from Jay Powell, your head of the Federal Reserve, in this recording. Then we turn to the big money across the board that viewers continue to get. Fortunes. One viewer got $10,000, another viewer got $12,000 in just the last few days. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering. I'm here, you're here. It's going to be a beautiful early morning, and I'm excited for all the big news for you. And let's get to it, starting right here, right now, on Early Mornings LALATE. You made it to the weekend. That is an achievement unto itself. Welcome to the weekend. Boy, how is the weather where you are? And tell me where you're tuning in from. It is beautiful. Beautiful here today in Santa Monica this Friday morning. The breeze is coming on from the shore. Not so sunny yet, but you know, it's early. And I expect a beautiful day across the board. So hope you're having beautiful weather. Jump in the live chat right now. Tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. In this fourth stimulus check update of 2021, we'll be going over the breaking news about the fourth stimulus. Very fascinating news. The fourth stimulus check is still on path. The fourth stimulus check is still monthly, and it's still coming from those Democrats and still in the recon. It's just certain things are now out of the recon and over somewhere else that don't have anything to do with you. It's all very easier. It's actually getting easier. But there are different paths of how they're doing the voting path, so I'll explain that as well in this recording as well. And we'll be cutting in the second half of this video to fifth stimulus, which will raise your benefits up a lifetime with incredible details across the board of how much those benefits can go, plus a fifth stimulus check, yes. And then the big money that you keep on killing it. I'm so proud of you. Keep on doing it, and I'm going to show you how you can get $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 as well. This is LALATE, the only 24-hour a day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America, live in the morning and taped in the afternoons. Right after this show, stay with it. Within 7 seconds, we'll send you to Overnight's Crypto, now playing live on the channel. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Fastest growing channel, 400,000 in 1 year. And thank you for this week. We've had a lot of big subscriber growth this week. Also like this video, 3,000 likes. It helps in the algorithm ranking. It also delivers a nice piñata. Who would you like to have a piñata of? Which congressional leader? Jump in the live chat. Let's get to the details of this fourth stimulus. Four stimulus checks from those Democrats, House and Senate, are unchanged based upon the events of yesterday. Let's go over all the details, how much those Democrats want you to have and how they differ. First, the House bill wants you to have a stimulus check for the remainder of the pandemic plus 1 year. The Senate plan is to provide you a stimulus check from July to December, and they can still do that in time. I'll go over all those details in a second. Let's look at the monthly payouts. House bill, $2,000 first month, $1,000 thereafter. Senate plan, monthly unknown, but word on the streets, the Senate Democrats want to pay you this. Wow. $2,000 a month over 6 months, $12,000 an individual. That's deliciousness. $1,400 over 6 months, $8,400. So savory. But now let's go back to something you need to see. Will the pandemic be viewed over? Well, some may say it might for legislative purposes. That might reduce the number of checks. If you're on the live chat, if you're on the live chat just after 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, get ready to vote House or Senate and tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. If they reduce the House bill to just 12 months of checks, that would amount to $13,000 from the House. Let's compare that to 6 months of this from the Senate. I think you have an opinion. I think you have an opinion. Jump in the live chat right now and vote House or Senate. House or Senate. Tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. Even with the events of yesterday, the Democrats still want you to have a stimulus check. Single individuals would still get a stimulus check, single individual, 75,000 or less. Democrats want married couples to have a stimulus check, double it, 150,000 or less. Family of four, Democrats want you to have a fourth stimulus check, quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, Democrats want you to have a stimulus check, SSI, SSDI, Social Security and railroad benefits and veterans benefits. The fourth stimulus check is not income, so it's not taxable. And the fourth stimulus check is a monthly stimulus check, so it's not a waivable check. It cannot wave back at you. So if you see the check at the breakfast bar this morning and it's getting the scrambled eggs, and you say, hey, check, I see you're over easy. How was last night? Was it easy? Rude check didn't respond back to me. I wasn't insulting you, but you're insulting me. It's not a rude check. It just can't wave at you. And it probably doesn't have any hands because it's eating all the bacon. And God. And there you go. That is your fourth stimulus check. The Democrats represent that the vote will be by July 4th. More about that coming up in this video. But they represent the first check would be in the month of July for the month of July. And they can still make that timeline in the month of August for the month of August. And there you go. In the second half of this video, we'll be going over what happened yesterday with the president and why it means nothing for purposes of your pocketbook, just for following where the process is going. I'll have all the details of that coming up in a second, but first, here's a preview of the second half of this video. Fifth stimulus. Boy, fifth stimulus is heating up with Jay Powell stepping up and saying, hey, that inflation rate is going to be red hot. In fact, it's going to be its hottest spot, like when they apply your benchmark of inflation in December for benefits. Wow, I'll have all the incredible details about why this is so wonderful under fifth stimulus, plus that fifth stimulus check in the second half of this video. But let's get some money. You saw yesterday the significance of getting money on this channel. It's starting to feel a little bit like the time right before second stimulus. Last year, I got viewers $25 million of EIDL loans to save their businesses, their homes, and their employees' homes in spring of 2020, when the pandemic was ravaging. But in fall of 2020, when we were waiting for second stimulus to get passed and was not, it was the holidays, you needed money. I stepped up and you stepped up, and I got you $250,000 for rent. It feels sort of like now. And I got Tyrone $15,000 for a family of four in Boston rent. Well, guess what? This week, one viewer got 12. Yesterday, one viewer got 12,000. The day before, another viewer got 10,000. Get that pen and paper ready because it's your chance to get that money today as well. Get a pen and paper ready, and if it must be a Crayola crown, then at least a black Crayola crown. I'm sure you have black somewhere. All right, get ready because I'm going to show you a lot of money in this video. Stay with me to the very end. That's what I do on this channel. I give people money. This is not the check tracking channel. We're cashing checks on this channel. We ain't tracking checks. I told you in 2020, we're leaving that behind of when you say, I really need that check, that stimulus check by that date. Nope. You're getting money for rent and utilities that is tens of thousands of dollars now, so it covers your bills. So that if the check is late because of Direct Express by Comerica a week, you're covered because of this. All right, let's get that money. Rent, it's a lot. It's about $5,000, 46 months of rent. But in the case of a couple of viewers, they've been getting over $10,000. Each place has different eligibility. So if you reach out to one and it says no, reach out to the next. Here we go. You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority. Your county hall, your county housing authority. Your state hall, your state housing authority. Keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID. Rent assistance because of COVID, or mortgage assistance because of COVID. You don't use words that they don't know, like stimulus or Nancy's fabulous dancing styles. Just bad visual, yeah. It's too early for that visual. Just sorry. They don't know that, and you don't want to even think about it. So there you go. That is your rent, $5,000 approximately, but in the case of some viewers this week, over $10,000. Congratulations to Tim and Linda who got this money as well. Next spot of money. Whoa, you've been killing it. You've been killing it. One viewer got $5,000 last week. The viewer week before got $6,000 to $7,000. Len Glenn got it for herself, her son, and her mom. And Gail got as well. What is it? It's money for SNAP. How do you get it? Department of Agriculture, DOA. And what is the money? For food. Money for your food. How much does it pay? A fortune. A family of four in Hawaii now gets upwards of $16,000 a year. Wow, why so much money? Because of two executive orders, one from Biden, one from Trump, that raise your benefits up 15% between now and December for everyone. So go get it. You're killing it. We're killing it. And the check on the dance floor, not so much killing it. maybe killing the parquet floor, though. There you go. $15,000 for SNAP for a family of four in Hawaii, $5,000 for rent. And we're only 10 minutes into this video. Well, let's get the next pot of money. And it's a fortune. One viewer got $5,000 for this. What is it? It's the money coming back from your states due to computer error. The federal government has identified states as overpaying you unemployment assistance due to computer error. Not your computer, thank you. And the federal government has ordered those monies back to your hands. How much? One viewer got $5,000. Where? Direct deposit to the account you have on file with that state unemployment department. And can you track the money? Yeah, call up the state and say, state, where's that check due to computer error? I'm owed it. When am I getting it? And track it with a computer that works, please. There you go. And finally, our last pot of money, which is wonderful. It's coming back from IRS. Cod got it, Margaret got it, Michael got it. If you got it as well, jump in the live chat. If you got it in penny or any pennies or 100,000 pennies, jump in the live chat. Every person who's gotten money inspires someone else, inspires me. Because ultimately, this is money for you to all get. How much money is this money from IRS? Let's go over the details. Let's say you have $9,000 of total unemployment benefits. You pay $5,000 of taxes, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment benefits. Congratulations, you're getting back $4,000. Where? To the account you have on file, otherwise in the mail. When? This month. Can you track it? Yeah, about 70% of the time you can. Go to irs.gov. Set up a username and password. Go in there and do a transcript search for your social security number. And it will reveal the tax return you filed, the taxes you paid, the name of that airplane flying overhead. It will reveal the favorite recipes for $12 ice cream in San Francisco. Why $12 ice cream is really not any worth more than $1. And also reveal the tax return you're getting. And there you go. Is there anything more wonderful than that? It is, as we cut to the breaking news from the White House that happened yesterday, as broke first on this channel. The President of the United States under fourth stimulus did some fascinating twists and turns yesterday. Why did yesterday's events happen? What were the substantive results of yesterday's events? What are now the different bills or legislations? What is the voting paths and where they're going? Let me go over all the details. First, the day before, Nancy and Chuck back with the president said, we do not have enough Democratic senator votes to pass this monolith, this massive recon the way it is. So you're going to have to take some stuff out of the recon and put it into a bipartisan agreement and pass that stuff in the bipartisan agreement and pass this stuff still back in the recon together as two separate legislations. And that may pass. But if you do just bipartisan, it won't pass. If you just do recon, it won't pass. After that message from from Chuck Schumer, after pooling his Democratic senators, the president met with a bipartisan group and said, okay, and then came out of the White House and said, we have a deal. Now, it was a horrible grandstanding by this president saying we have a deal. It also made viewers very confused because what deal do you have? In fact, he had zero deal because there was no legislation passed. There was no deal as to both bills or both legislations. Nothing had been voted upon. All he had was an agreement about how to maybe do things. So let's go over where the day ended. The day ended with an agreement that there would be two paths, not an agreement as to the legislation, but an agreement as to how to do this. The agreement is that there would be a reconciliation path, which we already had, but now that some items of that reconciliation would be taken out and put into a bipartisan path. That is all that the president really had. He didn't have anything other than that. And clearly by coming out and saying, I have a deal, that really confused people. It confused viewers because they were jumping in the live chat asking, did the Senate pass something? Did the president? No. So all he had was an agreement as to how to, what roads to take for the trucks. I guess that's the easiest way to say it. What roads to take for the trucks. The recon will now have part of it taken out and put into a bipartisan, which will go through a bipartisan path, and the remainder of the recon will stay where it is. What is in each of them? The bipartisan is roads and bridges. Very simple. It's roads and bridges. It's what the GOP wants, and the Democrats want as well. The recon is everything else. It is all the progressive policies, all the Jalopal stuff, all the president's climate and cares economy, all the checks, all the 7 House members. Then once you have stimulus checks, all that is in the recon. And that's where it was before. It didn't leave it. Now, which leaves us then with 3 potential bills. Understand it says the graphic says 3 bills. The legislation has not been written yet. We have the recon procedural bill that has to be finished and voted on. We have the recon substantive bill, and we have the bipartisan bill. So to go recap, we have 2 paths, recon and bipartisan. The bipartisan has roads and bridges, and your checks and your climate and all the progressive policies are still in the recon. All right, so how did we get to that spot? Well, we got to that spot the Friday before Memorial Day weekend when Chuck Schumer says, we're starting a recon, we are currently under recon, and we'll be finished by July 4th and will be approved by July 4th. Is Chuck Schumer's comment different today? Chuck Schumer issued two sentences yesterday, and the sentences were not particularly clear if he was backing off on that sentence of July 4th. So far, it does not appear that he is, because he says we need to vote on the recon as soon as possible. That was his exact quote, as soon as possible. So remember, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi 1,000 times have written and said by July 4th, recon passes. And ironically, after Chuck Schumer said yesterday, vote on recon as soon as possible, the first thing that came to my mind was, guess who also said that? Jalopal. Jalopal wrote to Schumer a letter weeks earlier, said, vote on the recon as soon as possible. And that letter was co-signed by 12 House Democrats. Who are they? Among the 100-plus House Democrats who said they're going to be putting monthly stimulus checks in the 4th stimulus package in a letter to the president. Wow, that's wonderful news. Can we top that? We can. As 7 House Democrats wrote the president a letter about a week ago saying they're going to be putting monthly stimulus checks in the 4th stimulus package. Well, who are they? They're on the House subcommittee that's responsible for writing stimulus checks. They wrote the first stimulus check. They wrote your second stimulus check. They wrote your third stimulus check just a few weeks ago, early this year. And now they're currently marking up the legislation to write the 4th stimulus check. And they claim they're going to be writing a 5th stimulus check this fall. Wow, now that's wonderful news. Can we top that? We can. As the President of the United States anchored 4th stimulus to the finish line, recon, 2 Saturdays ago, by going overseas and anchoring right to the finish line because making it easier to pass the legislation by an international agreement. Let me explain what's going on. Recon, part of the 4th stimulus, is paid for by raising corporate taxes. And it still is. And the president always said he's worried about raising corporate taxes if businesses may move overseas to where there's a lower corporate tax rate. So he reached out to those other countries with a lower corporate tax rate several weeks ago and said, hey, raise your rates. Will you agree to it? And they said yes. He said, oh, good, tentatively. So then he reached out to his staff and he said, staff, let's go meet them in Europe in December and bring Jill's favorite, a caramel popcorn, and have them sign on the dotted line. Well, he surprised us all because 2 Saturdays ago, he went overseas then to have them, before 4th stimulus, sign on the dotted line, which anchors recon 4th stimulus to the finish line now before 4th stimulus recon is voted on, making it easier to pass it because the provisions are now no longer needed about international taxes. They're in the international agreement. Wow. Can we top that? Yes. And it comes back to those quotes. You always wonder, you read a quote and you're like, it's a good quote. I'll read it for the viewers. And then 4 days later, you're like, wow, now that was a very important quote. I'm going to go back to that quote. Which quote is it? Jalopal and Schatz, Democrat progressive out of Hawaii. The quote was from a week ago today. Both progressives, both to the president, and also about progressive policies. What was the quote about? The president had told both of them that he will veto anything in the recon unless his recon has in there climate and cares economy. In fact, he told the progressives that. In fact, that's the reason why in fact, he told the partisans that. In fact, that's why there is a bipartisan agreement, because the bipartisans would never agree to the president's progressive policies. That's why they're over there. So the president said to Jalapal, I need to have my climate progressive policy. I need to have my CARES economy, my progressive policy. To which Jalapal says, yes, you do. And we're putting it in there and we're going to launch it to the finish line. There you go. To which the president said, thank you, Jalapal. I have your back that your progressive policies are also in the recon. And to which Jalapal then said to the president last week, thank you, I have your back. Understand, they're not in the bipartisan agreement. They don't have to worry about the GOP. They're in the recon. And now you see why that quote from a week ago is so helpful now, because you understand the president understood he had progressive policies. He understood those progressive policies was never going to pass with the recon because he was going to lose one or two Democrats. And they were certainly not going to go in the bipartisan agreement. They had to splinter off in this new version of the recon with Jalapal's stimulus checks. Wow. Or at least what Jalapal represents will be stimulus checks. Wow. Can we top that? We can. With the third part of your fourth stimulus check and the fifth stimulus package coming up after the commercial break, but even more wonderful is the volunteers. You see why it's important in December of 2020 to get that money for $10,000 of rent during the holidays. Paid viewers like Tyrone all the way up to February and March for his family of four in Boston, $15,000, or a viewer who got $12,000 2 days ago. That money makes a big difference. So don't be tracking checks, stimulus checks, cashing checks. Get that rent and utilities, but if you can't find it, don't worry. We have volunteers who can help you get it as well. Go to the community page. How do you find it? Open the description of this channel. Go down the description. You'll see an emoji of a house. Next to that emoji of the house is the community page, news.la.com/community. It'll send you over to the community page with pictures of some kitty cats. Lower on the page will be the volunteers. They're separated from Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and they'll help you get that rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and also SNAP and internet as well. They cannot cook you a tostada. They cannot give you directions to Nancy's hairstylist. They cannot tell you why Mitch dances every time there's a lobster served, but they could certainly get you rent. And here's a little bit about the wonderful volunteers. I'll be back in 60 seconds with more details about the great fourth stimulus and fifth stimulus. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the toast is toast, and the butter is buttering, and the coffee is brewing, and the recon is recalling. No, it's not recalling. It's reconning. How are you? It's a big early mornings broadcast. That didn't work so well. Reconning? I don't know what you call it. This is Early Mornings LA. In the second half of this video, we go over more details that you're going to hear for the first time in this broadcast about fourth stimulus, the new voting process. It's now inverted. I'll explain to you how it's working. And then we cut to fifth stimulus as well with the great news about lifting your benefits across the board. But first, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Subscribe right now. Thank you for the last few days of being great days of subscriber growth. Also, like this video, it delivers a nice pomegranate salad. And then consider becoming a member. Right after this video, stay with it within 7 seconds after the video's over. It'll take you into Overnight's Crypto, our hit overnight show. Viewers are having a lot of fun, and I'm in that live chat overnight as well. Let's cut into the breaking news about fourth and fifth stimulus, first with economic news. Unemployment numbers released yesterday, signaling more unemployment claims. Number went up. These are new unemployment claims, signaling we need more stimulus. Second, Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, said he will continue to support stimulus, Fed stimulus, all the way to January 2022. Same number he's always said, same date he's ever said as I've had this channel. So this is all great reason to pass fourth stimulus and fifth stimulus. Third, the president has indicated that he will be dedicating $1 billion to Social Security Administration to ensure you get payments on time going forward if you're on benefits. This is great news after the debacle of third stimulus. People on benefits and not receiving their third stimulus checks on time, especially if direct expressed by Comerica. Finally, there will be a fifth stimulus check. Those Democrats in the House represent, they'll be putting one in there. This would be for January 22, 2022. The legislative path will start working on it in September, out to a vote in November, December. And finally, what's happening with that fifth stimulus? Well, that fifth stimulus with that SSI reform is absolutely wonderful. You all know that fifth stimulus will raise your benefits up one time, and you know that it'll apply a benchmark, and you know that benchmark's inflation, and you know the benchmark inflation will be hot, and that the application of it will be in December. So what did Jay Powell say about it, your head of the Federal Reserve? Incredible news. That'll reach its highest point in December. That's what we wanted. That's what we wanted. He didn't give us a rate number, but he said the best, highest point of inflation will be in December when they apply the benchmark for your inflation. It can't be a better news than that. Now, here's what you need to know, is that he says that December is going to be red hot on this economy, that employment will be great, that business growth will be great, that personal net worth and savings and income will be great, and that you'll see GDP going very, very high. That's why inflation will be its highest number in December. Let's go over how this calculates wonderful news for you. First, they'll raise your benefit limits up. Then they'll remove the asset limit, add the inflationary benchmark, remove the income exclusion, remove the marriage penalty. Let's go over how this calculates for you right now. So first, they'll raise your benefits up a lifetime. This is you if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, survivor benefits, or casino benefits. Really? And multiple benefits. And then they'll apply the benchmark. You know it's in December. You know it's inflation. You know it's going to be a high number. And you know it's going to be the highest point of the entire year based upon Jay Powell's comments. All we don't know is, have they passed the bill yet? Well, we have to wait till the fall. And second, what will the rate be? Let's say it's 10%, which a lot of analysts are saying. 4% now, up to 10%. Well, your benefits will be raised up 10% in this example. Not just next year, a lifetime. Because once your benefits step up, they never step down. Then they're going to apply a removal of the asset cap, which prevents you from having more than $3,000 on hand. It's going to go away. Now you'll be able to have more than $3,000 in hand, some stimulus checks, and maybe some tacos. They're going to remove the income cap dating back to 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. Now you'll be able to work if you want. And they're going to remove the marriage penalty, which prevents you from getting married or penalizes if you're being married. Love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest and not fear a loss of benefits. And there you go. That is your fifth stimulus package. But how do these viewers on this channel get this $10,000 and $5,000 and $4,000? I just want to, I thought a $1,400 stimulus check is great, but viewers are getting $10,000. How are they doing it? They're becoming members. Members are delivered daily from me a breakdown of all the money under third stimulus. Because as soon as third stimulus is passed, I told viewers, there's $5, $10, $15, $20,000 of money in that there third stimulus for you. So go get it. Consider becoming a member. The link's at the top of the chat in the pinned comment. Daily, I deliver to viewers a breakdown of all the items that are in third stimulus, fourth stimulus, and fifth stimulus, so you know the big money you can get. Consider becoming a member right now. Which brings us back to our final big update for fourth stimulus this morning. I'm going to be going over the voting process, narratives, and Purple Power Push, all new for this early morning's broadcast. First, the voting process. Inverted. Inverted. First, it's inverted. Second, they don't really know clearly how they're doing it, to be very frank with you. And third, it's still a little bit fluid, so it could still change. Why is it inverted? This is what's going on. Is Pelosi, Schumer, White House all said that the big problem is the Senate Democrats. It's not the House Democrats. House Democrats would pass anything in 10 seconds. It's the Senate Democrats. So they're starting on the Senate side, going to the House, then going to the president, unless it has to go back to the Senate. So they're starting on the Senate side. First, second, third stimulus always started on the House side, went to the Senate, to the president. So what does this mean for you? It means that the whole dichotomy has sort of changed. We don't know a lot of stuff still, and they may not tell us, but here's where we were before the announcement that they're switching the direction of the voting process. We thought that the House side was taking, the House subcommittee side was taking the lead on marking up the potential legislation, and that the Senate subcommittee was in on the discussion with the House subcommittees, so it was a unified group effort. Now, is that still the case? Is the House side taking the lead, or is the Senate taking the lead, or does it make no difference? We're not getting a lot of updates, and no one's asking Chuck much of these details. So it's not like we're getting great news reporters in the press room asking Chuck these questions. But in the past, he has never sent anything to Senate subcommittees. So my thought is he's probably not going to start something in the Senate subcommittees because he'll die in the Senate subcommittees. Bottom line is, I don't think it has any impact for you. Number two, why? Because I think this House and Senate subcommittees are working together, and ultimately it's the House subcommittees that really have written all these letters about stimulus checks, and the senators want you to have stimulus checks as well. But it's these House subcommittees that are in the discussion, so I'm not really concerned about that. The second thing, which is fascinating, is the sort of inversion. So what happens to the vote-a-rama on the Senate side? Is it done first or after the House? It comes back to the vote-a-rama? Because remember, the vote-a-rama is the 2-day amendment at the very end. Why would you do a 2-day amendment at the very end if you started it with the bill in your house? It's very peculiar. The last thing that's very strange, and this is perhaps the thing that I don't think they understand the answer to, is that these quotes from Schumer are the following. That, let me say them slowly so you grasp how unclear these quotes are. That the recon and the bipartisan path legislations will both be voted upon at the same time. How do you vote on two things at the same time? You mean the same day? Like half an hour apart? Okay, maybe that's what you mean, Chuck. And then in the same breath, he says, well, the recon will start voting as soon as possible. Okay, next week? And then the next sentence says, and the bipartisan agreement will get to after the July break. Wait a second, you just said the bipartisan and the recon will vote together. So there's a strange, and I don't think they know. So, so does this impact you and the delivery time of your stimulus checks? No, you can still get in the month of July. Does it impact the possibility of getting the pass? No. So what you need to understand is that it's still two paths, recon and bipartisan. It's going to start on the Senate side. The Senate side will vote on the reconciliation procedure. Then that reconciliation procedure goes over to the House, then off to the president's sign. Then they do the reconciliation, substantive bill, in the Senate, off to the House, and then back to the president to sign. The recon has all the big deliciousness in it, and that is not the bipartisan. So there you go. Now let's cut to narratives. Trust me, the fake narratives, if there were not enough fake narratives before, there'll be 9,000 fake narratives today. Here's the problem, is that the president is really at fault for these fake narratives. The president yesterday walked out of the White House with the bipartisan people, 4 people, 5 people, and raised his arms out like a I don't know, like he's in a Broadway musical, and said, we have a deal. Now, immediately, my viewers were asking me, did he sign a law? Did he get the senators to agree? The senators passed something? What deal did he have? And I had to tell you, he has nothing. What did he have? He had an agreement to agree where to do. He had agreement to agree where to do this. He didn't get an agreement about anything. Now, let me make very clear. He's political grandstanding. So it's not very helpful that the guy that's number one, in the number one position, is making the situation unclear by grandstanding. Say, I have a deal when you don't have a deal. Deal for what? Deal for a Happy Meal? I don't know what your deal was. What's the deal with saying you have a deal? Yeah, I don't know what your deal. You don't have a deal. Could he have a deal? Yeah, he could have a deal. He could have I don't know, an agreement. I don't know what he meant. So that was the first problem. But that's not the problem I'm worried about. It's Friday. Next week, I just sense that every single person and their brother and their sister who wants to hear something for about 4 sentences or 4 words or 4 seconds, and then wants to say, okay, I'm done hearing it, is going to look at this and say, oh, bipartisan. Bipartisan road and bridges. Yeah, there's no stimulus checks in the bipartisan agreement. They have a bipartisan. There's only going to be a bipartisan bill. There's only going to be a bipartisan bill. No, there's going to be 2 paths. No, there's only going to be a bipartisan path. No, there's actually 2 paths. I never heard about the 2 paths. I saw the president standing with those 4 people. There is no other recon path. Yeah, there is. The president said it actually in that meeting, in that we have a deal thing. But yeah, there. The president said it, Chuck said it, Nancy said it. But I fully expect that the fake narrative next week will be that there's not 2 paths, there's 1 path. Of course, there's not 1 path. That's just silliness. There's 2 paths because Chuck, Nancy, the press secretary, the White House, everyone, even the GOP announced that there's 2 paths. But I think that people who don't want you to think you're getting anything from this president will be saying there's only a bipartisan agreement and that it's only this, to which that's why I have graphics for you. That's why I have graphics for you so you can visually see them, and that's why I'm showing them over and over and over again. For stimulus is recon, and the other thing is bipartisan, 2 paths. And if someone jumps into your face at the water cooler this morning saying, it's only bipartisan, then tell them, no, it's 2 paths, it's recon and bipartisan. What does that mean? You can't have 2 paths. Yes, you can have 2 paths. In fact, the GOP said that as well. So I expect that to be the fake narrative as well. Do you like my voices? Yeah, And finally, purple power push. If there was ever an example of who you got to push now, it's pretty clear. Yeah, you know who I'm about to say. Senators, Democratic senators, because it's starting with them. It's like the track and field relay. You want the first person on that relay to get you the lead. You don't want the first person on the relay to be behind the ball and just, are we behind already? I mean, come on, what Olympic team is this? We're already behind? You want right out the gate that the senators do it right. So you need to tag those Democratic senators, Warren Sanders, all the progressives, Richard Blumenthal, just, he really has your back on this one. He had a couple stern words yesterday, so you want to tag him as well. And also tag all your progressives as well, because the progressives could still butcher stuff when they get it from the Senate. Say, you know what? I'm not doing that anymore. You're going to give us our progressive policies or else. And with that, thank you for joining me on a big early mornings broadcast. Stay with this video. In 6 seconds, it'll send you into Overnight's Crypto, now playing on the channel. But subscribe. 400,000 subscribers for a reason. Fastest growing channel on YouTube in 1 year, 400,000 subscribers. Next stop, 1 million. I want you part of this family. Subscribe right now. Also, like this video. Every like helps in the algorithm rankings and also delivers you tuna salad. And consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LALATE for more.